Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. That's Phil Perry over there. He and I both had the weekend off, technically, but being who we are and how we do things, we both watched a boatload of football on Sunday. Gave us a chance to get an eye full, not just of the National Football League, Phil, but the American Football Conference. So we're going to take a look at the competition down the stretch in the final 6 games for the 9-2 Patriots. Here's your conference standings as they stand right now. You got Denver up there on the top after their win over Kansas City. Unimpressive, except for that defense. Patriots 9-2, Colts 8-2, Pittsburgh 6-4. They're not that good. Buffalo 7-3. Another year of, if poor Justin Herbert just had more people around him. Overrated. And then finally the Jacksonville Jaguars, who scare nobody. Phil, impressions of the American Football Conference on this particular day?
Yeah, it just still feels wide open, Tom. We've been talking about this for a long time now. But if you're a Patriots fan, which of these teams do you look at and say, you know what? Patriots would have a really hard time beating those guys in the postseason. I don't think that team exists. There are a number of teams that could beat the Patriots for sure, but I feel as though the Patriots are probably playing the best of all these teams you mentioned right now. And I think if you're a Patriots fan, again, you should feel really good about their chances come the postseason because we know they're going to postseason.
And it's almost playing the best, yes, but who has more in the tank? And when you look at this landscape in the AFC, and we're going to get into some superpowers and Achilles heels in just a second, but when you look at this group of teams, the ones that you fear the most seem to be the ones who have more in the tank that they haven't shown yet. And 2 of those 3 are currently out of the playoff picture, Kansas City and Baltimore. So let's include them as we do this exercise. It's called Superpowers and Achilles heels. I think you're going to like this, folks. And we're going to start at the top of the conference. Superpowers for the Denver Broncos. We'll flash this up a number of times for you folks as we go along so you can follow along. But for the Broncos, to me, it's their defense, which is historically good. They're allowing under 30% third down conversions. They're sacking everything that moves. Best team in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. So them and Sean Payton, and then their offensive potency would be their Achilles heel.
Yeah, I think one of their strengths too, Tom, is their poise or composure. They've got 5 games this year where they've been down in the fourth quarter and still won. And that to me is a really impressive stat when we're talking about teams that might be able to go the distance in the AFC. So this is the team to me that would scare me the most if I'm any fan of any team in the AFC, and it does start with their defense and Vance Joseph and what they're doing on that side of the ball. Really impressive to me that they were able to blitz Patrick Mahomes as much as they did. Typically, these top-end quarterbacks, you never want to blitz them because they always have an answer. And yet, they blitzed Patrick Mahomes a bunch, and they got home. They pressured him on 50% of those blitzes and ended up with 3 sacks. So, to me, that tells me you've got something special going on the defensive side.
And you can really level the playing field. We're not on Kansas City yet, but we do see with every single quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes, because he is a little bit superhuman, you have to get pressure on him to at least give yourself a shot. The Broncos are recording sacks on 13.28% of attempts. That's a lot.
Feels high.
It's high. Number 1 in the league. They're also 35.71 defensively in the red zone, tied for 5th defensively in the red zone, and allowing just 45% touchdowns when people enter, 28.95 on third down. Let's now go to the Patriots. Their superpowers, Drake May, run defense. Those are the ones I went with. Their Achilles heel, their own run game, and establishing it as an every down, hey, we're going to get 4 because we want 4 here. And also their red zone defense and offense for that matter. But their red zone defense has been abhorrent.
Yeah, it's been at the bottom of the league, and their numbers actually improved just a little bit on Thursday night against the Jets because they only allowed the Jets to score on 1 of 2 red zone attempts. They had been allowing almost, Tom, up until Thursday Night Football, almost 3/4 of red zone trips to turn into touchdowns.
They're still at 72% of red zone trips turning into touchdowns, 100%. You get inside the 10 against the Patriots and get a first down, you're scoring a touchdown.
You're going to score now. It's just one of those things. It's almost unfathomable the rates that they're at. That if that continues, that 70+%, that will be one of the worst red zone percentages for any defense in recent NFL history, going back to the early 2000s.
You agree with me on the strengths?
Oh, yeah, of course. Drake May is the reason they're here. Drake May will be the reason they go as far as they go. To me, what's been one of the most impressive things about him is that he's not only tearing up zone coverage, which the Patriots know they're going to see a lot of because teams are afraid of his legs, but Tom, he's been great against man as well. He's completed 64% of his passes. That's the fourth best in the NFL, and he's averaging 8.4 yards per attempt against man coverage. That's according to Next Gen Stats. So you can do whatever you want to him. It might work, but it's probably not going to work the way he's played. Zone, man, blitz, non-blitz, he's had answers for everything.
Indianapolis Colts, when we look at that team, you have to obviously look at their run game. It's been outstanding, and their return game is stupid good. They are first in the NFL in kickoff returns, 29 yards every kickoff return. So that is noteworthy because there are a lot of good return teams. Their total yards per play, 6.41. They're putting up 400 yards per game. So when the Colts get moving, they're moving thanks to Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor has to stay healthy for them. He is the thing that makes that go. 6 yards per carry this year, Tom. And he averages 4.7 yards after contact per attempt. That is mind-boggling. Almost 5 yards. You touch that guy, and he's still, on average, going to get 5 more yards after that. Now, a lot of that is some crazy big plays that he's had over the course of this year. He leads the NFL with 6 runs where he's hit 20 miles an hour on the GPS or more. Again, best in the league. So a lot of that yards after contact stuff happens on those massive explosive plays, but he's that kind of runner. He can run through an arm tackle and take it to the house.
Steelers, I have Rodgers' experience as their strength. I have Rodgers' age and their pass defense as their weakness. They are horrendous against the pass. They've got a couple games that were really bad. Let me get their defensive statistics up here, folks. Filibuster.
Well, the defense has been an issue for them really for a while, and it's hard to comprehend why they've been as bad as they've been because they're one of the most expensive defenses in the NFL. So you would think between what they have with the pass rush, and we saw that firsthand. The Patriots had all kinds of issues with not necessarily T.J. Watt, but with Nick Herbig and some of the others that were up front for Pittsburgh in that Week 3 loss. So their defense needs to be better. The Rodgers thing, Tom, is the thing for me if you're looking at this team because he just missed a bunch of time in this past week's game, and they've got Mason Rudolph as the backup, and he wasn't horrible. He completed every pass he threw that was under 10 air yards. He went 11 for 11 with a touchdown. But can they survive if something were to happen to Rodgers? Because we know his age and his injury history, to quote a former Patriots.
Yeah, we know his age. 200.
That was age and contract situation.
It was age and contract situation. 262 yards per game via the air is what the Pittsburgh Steelers are allowing right now. Up next, let's go to the Bills. We're into the wild card teams now. Bills, it's Josh Allen. Not breaking any news there. He accounted for 6 touchdowns on Sunday or was involved in them. And their run defense is, it's funny. I'm spending a lot of time on defense. Wait till I get to the Chargers, though. The Bills' run defense, they're allowing $153 on the ground per game. That's 31st in the league. They're allowing 5.43 yards per carry. That's 31st in the league.
They're so bad against the run. I didn't realize that until doing a little bit of research for this podcast. They're 29th in the NFL in EPA per carry allowed. So that's really been a bugaboo for them over the course of the season. And maybe when the Patriots see them again, that kind of matchup allows for their run game to get a little bit better. But that's obviously been one of the worst areas for New England this year. It's just this is all about Josh Allen in the same way, honestly, that it's all about Drake May when it comes to the Patriots.
It's all about the quarterback in so many of these instances. Colts, it is about the quarterback in every instance because even with the Colts, I'm saying Jonathan Taylor is the engine, but you have to just avoid Daniel Jones turning into a pumpkin. Chargers, same thing. There are more and more occasions, ladies and gentlemen, where I come out of a game having watched it and say, is Justin Herbert really as good as we all think he is? I mean, we spend so much time making excuses for all the things that Justin Herbert doesn't have, whether it's the right play caller or the right head coach or the right amount of pass protection. And sometimes he looks like it. Sunday being one of those times. But I'm still going to say their 2 strengths are Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, and their special teams coverage units are horrendous, sneakily, and obviously their pass protection, because it's leaky as hell back there for Justin Herbert, which is where he gets his best case to not be accused of sucking outright.
The tackles especially. I mean, to be without your two tackles that are really high-end guys, and Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. Without those two guys, they have Bobby Hart as their right tackle and Trevor Penning, who they just acquired via trade, who was really not playing all that well in New Orleans over the course of the last few years, as their left tackle. So I guess I'm one of these people who is going to make excuses for Justin Herbert. I would never say he's one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in football, but he is pretty consistently in that top 10. He's a good player.
All right, the team holding the 7th and final playoff spot at the moment, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 6-4. They're not that great. Okay.
They don't scare you?
No.
Liam Cohen don't scare you?
At some point he might, because I do think that he's a smart offensive coach. Takeaways and return game. Those are their strengths. Pass game and experience. Listen to some of these numbers on the Jaguars pass game, which I was surprised to learn. 21st in the league at 199.4. Generational talent, my 5.90 on yards per pass play for those cats. They also allow a lot of sacks, 7.69 per attempt. Total yards per game, the 20th. Yards per play, 27th. Whatever.
Trevor Lawrence is one of those quarterbacks you would love to see in the postseason, right? Is there anything that scares anybody about Trevor Lawrence at this point?
Punt return, they're 16.6 yards per punt return, unless I'm reading my NFL Jesus wrong.
That's excellent. Are they best in the league?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good for them. Parker Washington?
You know what? You start getting into the names and stuff, and you just put me in a place where I'm not going to know what I'm talking about.
Well, listen, you're Mr. Numbers guy over there. So you're doing a great job, and the Jags are doing a great job in the return game. I don't look at returns.
Takeaways.
Or even takeaways. As
they have a lot
sustainable.
Of picks.
I don't know if it's sustainable. How much of takeaways is true skill?
Peanut, punch.
How much of it is luck? A ball glances off somebody's hand and bounces up into the air, and you pick it off. Congratulations, that's good.
Sounds like the NHL.
Well, I also think sometimes those takeaways are generated by the other team, and you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. Did you see Kyle Duggar's interception, pick 6 for the Steelers the other day, by the way?
Had he played by him? Standing there.
Just happened to be standing there. I mean, good for him. He was in the right place.
That was a bus stop interception.
That's one of the worst throws I've seen all year.
Just
so
standing around.
Takeaways are great, and they do a lot of times lead to success and failures for these teams. But I don't look at that as a repeatable skill necessarily.
Who, me? Just hanging around. All right, Texans, they stink. But their
defense is good.
Is really good.
Yeah, I like that defense.
Their red zone offense and defense are trash. Phil, talk about their defense.
They've survived without C.J. Stroud, though. They're still in the mix, 5-5. Stroud's been hurt. They're figuring it out with
Davis Mills is not horrendous.
Long-necked son of a gun, Davis Mills.
He and Mike Leonard are going to have a neck off someday.
How would you do that? Would you just start over some kind of barrier and just stretch it out and just see?
Oh, that'd be great.
Who could stretch further? So I give them a shot just because of their defense, and I think that sort of thing does translate week to week, especially late in the season, right? If you have a defense,
travels.
It does travel. You don't think so? You don't think so?
I love when people. I used to like it travels, and now I don't like it as much. Their fans travel. Okay, next up, you donkeys, the Chiefs. Their strength, Mahomes and Reed. Their weakness, rampant mediocrity.
I mean, that feels a little strong. They did go to a Super Bowl last year, but this season
the rest of the roster is rampantly mediocre.
Fair. Tyquan Thornton's not doing it for you at receiver anymore?
Not anymore.
I just thought Mahomes played pretty poorly at the end of that game the other day against the Broncos. And I know, again, the Broncos defense is great. And again, maybe this gets to sort of the luck or the hit or miss nature of turnovers. But there were multiple throws I thought Patrick Mahomes could have been picked off on. He was actually picked off, and it was wiped out because of a penalty that had nothing to do with the play itself. So he had another interception on the game-winning drive attempt that was just dropped. He missed a couple throws down the field. I don't know what his issue is right now, because wasn't it like 3 weeks ago we were talking about, well, no, Drake May can't be the MVP. Not that it matters right now, but he can't be the guy because Patrick Mahomes is still playing.
Why was he throwing 60-yard passes for the first half? Time and time again, he
must have
just
just
whipping
felt like
it down the field.
that was the only answer for him.
That's
I
crazy.
guess. I don't know. I
All
don't
right,
know.
let's hit the Ravens. Boy, they stink. Sacks per pass attempt. Sorry, Kyle Van Noy. Block your ears. 4.14% of the time, they're coming up with a sack. That's 29th in the league. And their pass pro, not too friggin' good either, bruv. They're 30th in the league in allowing sacks on 11.45% of attempts.
Don't you blame Kyle Van Noy for that. He had a sack yesterday.
No, and he was out a little bit.
Or
I
on
never
Sunday.
blame Kyle Van Noy for anything except good times. I tell you, I played golf with him this summer.
Yeah, you did. He's really good, isn't he?
Way better than he should be for playing for 3 years. He beat me by a stroke. Very disappointing. All right, folks, I hope you got something out of that. I know it might have been tedious, but I watched the games, and I wanted to get everybody up to date on who stinks and why.
Well, this is the conversation right now, but what we haven't gotten from you is an opinion. So where do the Patriots sit in this group?
The Patriots sit above the alumni teams, the playoff alumni teams, the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs. They're above them. The Patriots' one superpower is not as powerful as the Broncos' one superpower is, but it can. The Broncos having a side of the ball that is completely impenetrable right now. You can somehow neutralize Drake May, I think. I mean, he's not. There's going to have to be
He's
a
not
game.
Unbeatable,
There's going to have to be a game.
but
We haven't seen him beaten in a long
It's been funny.
time.
It's just funny. Like, I don't know what the answer for him is at this point.
The thing is, he hasn't lost. No team in the NFL this year has beaten Drake May. He's beaten himself in the 2 games the Patriots lost. They should be 11-0. Let's go now to Cam Newton. Speaking of the Patriots being 11-0, here's what Cam had to say about the Patriots and his taste on the cut of their jib.
It has fool's gold written all over it. Cupid, Seconia, middle of the mall. If you keep playing sorry scrubs, then you're going to have this falsetto of a mentality going into the playoffs, and it has one and done written all over it.
All right, Cam. I appreciate the take, and I'll tell you why. First, though, let's look at strength of victory. Here's all the playoff teams and their strength of victory. This is your win-loss percentage of the teams that you beat. Look at the Patriots. They're not sore thumbs here. Teams they've beaten are not that great. That's why they beat them. Jaguars are the only one in the playoff picture right now who have a combined record of over 500. However, strength of schedule, the win-loss percentage of opponents, the Patriots have been really just pounding on some petunias. The only team with a winning percentage combined among their opponents so far of under 40%, and it will stay that way. So, I'm sorry, but Cam does have a point. And you know what? I heard a lot of conversation on our emails, to be honest, about, well, why does he hate the Patriots? It's an opinion. We're paid for opinions. If you look at the Patriots and see that they have a combined record of their opponents is 369, and you say, I think they're frauds, they haven't played anybody really. I mean, you might be hyperbolizing and leaving out the Tampa Bay and Buffalo games, but that's not wrong. You don't have to have an issue with somebody.
Well,
I didn't hate Drake May when I said they should trade down and take J.J. McCarthy and a tackle. I didn't hate him. That's why I always trot out that nice story I wrote in April about his mental and physical toughness.
That was a nice story.
It's the only leg I have to stand on.
And you did feel strongly about that at the time. I give you credit for that. Here's where I would disagree, and I appreciate your point, generally speaking. Opinions, everybody's got them. Some of them stink. I would say where I disagree with Cam Newton is, yes, they've had an easy schedule, no question. But are they a fraud team because they've had an easy schedule? Or can we sit here and say, and having seen especially the 2 good teams they've beaten, but really throughout the course of the season, can we say, well, they're 9-2. Yes, they beat up on an easy schedule, but that doesn't mean they're a bad team or a fraudulent team. You can still be a good team and beating bad teams.
Yep.
That's what I would say about the Patriots right now.
I agree with that. We can point to a couple of games, Miami and Atlanta, which were games that you look at and go, if you're a good team, you shouldn't be life and death with them. But if the Packers are allegedly a good team, they shouldn't be losing to Carolina, for instance.
Buffalo allegedly a good team, and they lost to Miami.
Yeah. So
boat raced.
I don't blame Cam. Doesn't have to be a personal vendetta if somebody opines that something isn't a particular way. This is fun because this is what's left for the four best teams, or the ones that I look at the Patriots being in direct competition with at this juncture. The Colts, remaining toughies. Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, and Texans. That's every single game is not easy. And you can say what you want about the Jaguars. I already made fun. Bills have Houston, Pittsburgh, Cincy, and they will have Joe Burrow back by then. Patriots, Eagles. No picnic there. Packers, Jaguars, Chiefs, and Chargers are the opponents of the Broncos. That's four tough ones. Patriots have the Bills and the Ravens. Patriots are very much in line for the number one seed in the division.
All right, Tom, can I ask you a question, though? What do you care about as a football observer, someone who knows this game inside and out, covering it as long as you have?
Paid to talk about it.
Paid to talk about this thing. Do you think you're better off being in the Patriots' position and having an easier slate of games down the stretch, maybe putting yourselves in position for that number one seed, a bye, home playoff games, all that comes with that? Or do you value the road, being tested, being battle-tested, quote-unquote, before a postseason run the way, I don't know, like an 0-1 Patriots team was? Played some tough games down the stretch, lost to the Rams. I remember celebrating as a sophomore in high school that loss because it felt like, wow, this team actually might be pretty good. So what's more important, in your opinion?
They're going to get them. They're going to get those games. Both the Buffalo and Baltimore game, especially at Baltimore, are going to be those preparatory games. But to answer your question, easy road. Every single time, take the easy road, and then let people argue later on about how you have a hollow championship because you didn't have to play anybody. Wasn't that the Celtics gripe a couple years ago? Celtics won a title.
Oh, yeah, on the way to the finals, yes.
Dallas was the worst team of all time to ever. Okay. No, you always want that easy road.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And I think NFL history would bear this out, and we can crunch some of the numbers maybe at a later date. But when you look at Super Bowl champions, by and large, they tend to be those teams that had a bye. It's getting that bye week does so much for your chances, not only just eliminating a game altogether, but in terms of your health and your ability to sustain over the course of a long season.
Yeah, here comes a guy with a torn labrum. Look out, I'm ready to play because last week I was in the wild card round. Yeah, good. All right, congrats. You don't need that. You need everybody healthy. All right. Next up, since we're talking about Super Bowl, Patriots still lagging well behind. Take a look at this from Bet Online. Some of the odds that are out there: Eagles, Rams, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Lions, Colts, Seahawks, and the Broncos, all with better odds than the Patriots. The Patriots and Packers are both 16-1, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody else ahead of them sharing that. Basically, your prognosticators or your odds makers are sharing the same opinion as Cam Newton. Patriots have been fairly fortunate, Phil, with injuries this year. Uncle Milton Williams, suffered a big one, though, last week, and he's going to be down a while. Here's Mike Vrabel on the Milton Williams injury, speaking on Monday.
We won't have Milt, so for the foreseeable future, he'll work hard to get back, so that's really where our focus is not so much as a reflection as it is just focusing on how do we get the guys ready to perform and continue to improve. We'll have to do that without Milt, who's one of our contributors, and he's a big part of what we've done, but we'll have to do it without him here for a few weeks.
All right, Phil, so he's going to be down. You got the Bengals, you got the Giants, you got the bye, then you got Jimmy Cook and the Buffalo Bills. That's going to be your 4 weeks of IR time, right?
Yes, at least 4 weeks for Milton Williams.
Okay. Can they survive this?
I think they can. You're going to need a lot from Christian Barmore. You're going to need guys like Corey Durden and Kyrus Tonga to step up, but those guys have actually, Tonga for sure, but even Durden has surprised me as someone that I hadn't heard of before they acquired him, but he always seems to be making positive plays when they do ask him to play. Joshua Farmer is somebody who I thought was actually playing pretty well as a rookie, fourth-round pick out of Florida State, defensive tackle, ends up getting banged up, so he's missed the last couple of weeks, but maybe you get him back. I do think this team is a little deeper than we give it credit for at certain spots. Mm-hmm. And so defensive line would be one of those. If they lost a running back and Ramondre Stevenson has to miss another week, or if they lost another receiver on top of Kayshon Boutte, or they lost another edge defender, like to me, those would be real problem areas. But they do have a little bit of depth, and they've gotten performances from guys that have been surprising to me. And I think you have to give the players credit for sure. I give the staff a little bit of credit there too, though, in terms of developing talent to the point where maybe they are deeper than we gave them credit for when the season began.
And that's another reason the bye is going to do you well. Meanwhile, the Bengals, they really, really stink. Here's Jay Morrison. We're going to try and have him on later this week. He writes for SI about the Bengals. Lost in the fact that the Bengals gave up at least 27 points in their ninth straight game to tie the NFL record, and the fact that they put out another feature-length teach tape on how not to pursue ball carriers and how not to try to tackle them, and the fact that 3 of them got the man versus boys treatment on the same play, there were actually a few positives. Jay also later writing, the NFL average for converting on 3rd and 10 or longer coming into Week 11 was 19.4%. The Bengals ranked next to last in the league in that category, allowing teams to convert 30% of the time, 6 of 20, 6 times in 9 games. And then 3 times Sunday alone. Here's Zach Taylor, Bengals coach, talking about how they do stink and what they got to do next.
Yeah, you feel them. You feel all the losses. You feel them all. They eat at you all. We're working like crazy to make sure that this doesn't happen. It happened today. It's disappointing. Our option is come back tomorrow and keep fighting and find a way to get a win. And we got a red hot team coming in here. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do everything we can to clean this up, correct the mistakes, get back to work, and fight another week and find a way to get a win.
We're going to try and get Jay later in the week. We're going to talk much more Bengals as we go, as will you on the next Pat's first impressions of these knuckleheads.
Well, to not have Jamar Chase, and he, as we're sitting here, is suspended for this game. He can appeal. He could potentially win his appeal. I doubt it. But to not have Jamar Chase, to not have Joe Burrow, it sounds as though Trey Hendrickson's going to be out as well, Tom. This is just another case of fate smiling upon the New England Patriots in 2025. I mean, no Garrett Wilson on Thursday night. They make 2 big trades the week before. They end up facing the Patriots. The Jets do. It just feels like every single week there's something that's breaking in their favor. But Joe Flacco, Tom, will occasionally hit a deep ball on you. T. Higgins, still a very talented guy. Chase Brown, I think, is a pretty good running back when he has space to run. So they should be able to put some points on the board, be a good test for the Patriots defense. Patriots offense should be firing on all cylinders, though.
Hard not to appreciate the abject stupidity of receivers at times in the NFL. Whether it's Jamar Chase or Jamison Williams, who everyone's like, he jumped on the thing and he humped the goalpost. Great idea. Now your kicker's kicking from 45 yards. Now you're down 7 and it's 13-6, and you can't kick field goals to get back in the game. The Lions lost in large part because Jamison Williams had to hump the goalpost.
Listen.
You don't know. Enough said. We're done.
We're
done.